What's going on, Nerds? Mark here, back with another Noisy Pixel Tech video. We're in the living room once again today because we have a very large product. As you can see, we have a gaming desktop from Omen, the 40L gaming desktop.
Noisy Pixel.
Just want to say shout out to HP Omen once again for letting me have an opportunity to review such a important product line, the desktop line, the pre-builds I should say. Today we have the Ryzen 7 7700, we have a 4060 Ti graphics card, 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM, and I think that's all we really care about, right? And lastly, a 1 terabyte M.2, which we all love and care about. But nonetheless, let's get this thing open and then move on to the review. Once again, if you've been watching our videos, we got the loyal tech boy.
What's up?
Helping us out. Sometimes these big boxes require big help, so we hire Jose.
It's always fun opening up new products.
I don't think I've ever actually bought a pre-build or unboxed a pre-build, so this is kind of a new experience for me.
Same
in
here.
general. I think on top that's a keyboard. I think the keyboard that it comes with, I'm not too sure what it is. I believe it's probably some wired reg board. Let's see what that is like. There she is. It kind of looks like, is this HP? I don't know. It looks like, I'm gonna say it, Logitech branded, but
Oh, this mouse
just
feels...
regular HP keyboard here. The keyboard I can get around. I mean, it's basic, but I actually kind of like it. There is something about it that's nice.
The keyboard
mouse
is
not
decent.
cool. This is the mouse here.
I don't like it at all. It's like so sharp on the edges. Try it.
Ooh, it's very rigid. Quite the office mouse, indeed.
It's terrible.
Like, none of this kind of gives me gamer vibes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand that it's kind of included. It would just be a little bit more tailored. What is that?
Power cable.
Power cable? And it's just chilling. Is it an easy lift or you need help? It's a one-man job?
It can be done.
All right. Is there anything down there?
Double checking. Nope.
All right, everyone, let's unwrap the 40L Ryzen 7. Let's get this thing open. All right, everyone, that's going to be the Omen 40L right there. Can we pop it open? Take a look inside. It's actually pretty nice. Look at the dimension in the front. I thought it was a lot more flat looking, but they must have updated the design. And it actually does look pretty dimensional.
And this feels nice.
Let's pop it open. I'm curious to see inside. For sure, it's kind of hard to see. Open it up already. I'm not going to redo that part. I should take this thing off. Boom. Lift it right up. Very simple. So taking a look inside, very tiny little fan, but probably efficient. How big of a fan do you really need on the processor? I'm just spoiled. Graphics card looking quite fitted into this bracket. It's very nice GPU support. I've actually never seen something like that. I guess the power supply is completely hidden. You can't even see the power supply.
The wiring pretty decent.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
The top part is a little, could be cleaned up.
All right, so I actually put it in the other light because it was kind of hard to see, but you kind of get an idea of the wiring.
Did you say this had an M.2?
It does have an M.2, 1 terabyte. Where is that thing? Have you seen it? I guess we just kind of, I can't see anything now, but.
It's tiny.
It's tiny, it's nested in there, but there's an M.2 right there. Just a little shot of the back. The motherboard has a decent amount of ports. They're just kind of organized in a way that just makes it seem like there's not a lot. It's just USBs mostly. They don't have any of that extra peripherals and stuff like that.
2 Type-Cs.
2 Type-Cs? 2 Type-Cs. Where? Oh, there they are. Look at that. All right, so we're gonna spin it around. We're gonna take a look at the back. I like the logo. Very simple. An idea of the wiring up in here. I mean, pretty standard. I mean, it's definitely clean. Yeah, it's very compact. Not a lot of loose hanging wires or anything. So they definitely did their job. You can see the back bracket for the processor right there. And we got some extra hard drive bays. I believe no more than 2, or from what I could see. I tried to see in there. I don't really see anything. That's it. Just solid. What type of PSU is it? I don't know, let's find out. So to finish up this unboxing, I was like, what is the power supply's wattage? And I checked the specs from Best Buy that they gave me, and it says maximum power wattage 600. But it kind of sounds like word games to me. Like 600 seems like what they want you to stay at, like encased in this metal box and it built into that box. It's not even like a regular power supply. So even if I wanted to figure it out on my own, it's just everything is so locked together and structured in, it's just like not even worth my time. This is just something to expect with pre-builds. They usually cut corners in places, but you know, what are you gonna do? The website says max power 600. Boom.
Yes, sir.
All right, it actually looks really nice. I'm actually impressed. Usually I'm like not about pre-builds, but this thing, it has some sex appeal, you know? For some reason, this cold white light they got going on is working. They're doing it, and they're doing it right. I love this depth look. I keep saying it, but I like the distance between even like the fans inside versus the glass. I wanted to show you guys the top down. Look how awesome this looks from this perspective. And I'm quite impressed with the aesthetic. First impressions are a big thumbs up. Slow moving fan. I'm about it. You filming? That's gonna do it for the unboxing section of the Omen 40L Ryzen 7 4060 Ti, 1TB M.2, 16 gigs of RAM, DDR5.
He's a madman.
No, you big dog.
Thank you for sticking it out, and we're gonna give our fair opinion, and so far, first impressions, very nice. Let's see how it performs. Stick around. At around $1,500, but sometimes on sale, the Omen 40L gaming desktop is fully loaded with the Ryzen 7 7700, RTX 4060 Ti, 16GB of DDR5, and more goodies. This sleek computer gives a great gaming experience while maintaining a simple and practical style. Pre-built computers are often a slippery slope in my opinion, and although not perfect, the Omen 40L gives room for most gamers to be okay with scooping up a one-and-done purchase. When it comes to pre-builds, we all know it is hard to find something that's tasteful given the price point we are usually working in. Visually, companies have been improving the overall look of these products, and with the Omen 40L gaming desktop, style does not go unnoticed. The new design choices of the Omen pre-builds have put me in awe because this desktop is one of the sleekest setups I have seen in a while. Without even turning on the PC, the glossy and glassy exterior matched with a fresh cross-hatched vent pattern at the top delivers an eye-catching style. Construction-wise, nothing seems plastic focused or cheaply produced, but rather it is made of metal or plexiglass. The Omen 40L has a pretty strong exterior. A complaint for the Omen 40L gaming desktop would be that the power button seems a bit boring because it lacks some fun tactile feedback or some sort of like RGB glow here. It just seemed rather tossed in compared to every other detail we will get into. Next to the power switch, you conveniently have two USB 3.0 ports and two regular USB ports, along with a headphone and mic jack. Although it is rare these days, having this right on the front makes life easy if you want to quickly slap in some headphones or older microphones. A small yet fun talking point here, I found the slant of the front ports an interesting way to differ from the rest of the units out there on the market, as it just gives a little pop to the front styling of the Omen 40L. The Omen 40L certainly has weight to it, as most computers do this size when you want to get a good build quality, so just be careful how you lift it. Now, that's not to say that the PC will open up or fall apart if you lift it wrong. The Omen actually is fairly solid and unibody. I just don't want you to throw your back out here. Moving to the back of the Omen 40L, we are provided with more than enough USB and USB-C ports, two USB ports, two USB SS5s, and two USB SS10s. And then we also have one USB-C at an SS10 and another USB-C at SS5. This is certainly a mouthful for me, but also has a great variety of speeds and external device accessibility. Adding to this, you can also find an Ethernet port and more headphone, mic, and speaker jacks on the rear for a full circle of hardware support. There is a display port on the motherboard as well. The GPU provided is a 4060 Ti, providing the buyer with 3 display ports and 1 HDMI 2.1. Don't forget you also have that 4th display port I just mentioned, since we have integrated graphics up to 512 megabytes. The built-in GPU holder is a great addition to the Omen 40L's function and form, although it may not be entirely necessary to provide a holder this intricate for such a small GPU. It does add a touch of aggression to the PC's presentation that looks new and exciting. The best part about pre-builds is the ability to upgrade and change parts, and while some companies limit their buyers, Omen does this topic pretty well. The Omen 40L has the ability to add 2 more RAM sticks up to 4 slots, enough space for a full-size GPU, features 3 M.2 drive slots, and 4 hard drive slots, 2 SSD slots, and then 2 hard drive bays if you are wondering, and even space for 2 more fans at the top of the unit and an extra fan in the front. Something cool about the Omen 40L is the push remove top section, as long as you pop off the front of the desktop case. MagSafe supports the logo RGB here, which removes the hassle of disconnecting the front power supply every time. Anyway, this case design seamlessly allows for most customization without sacrificing style or those sleek curved edges behind the front glass. The Omen 40L gaming desktop has a magnetic lower dust tray and not a slide tray. The worst part about the customization is the 600 watt power supply. This might be sufficient for most hardware, but once you want to upgrade the GPU, it might be challenging to rewire this unit as the PSU is packed in and you need that 450 watt plug to support higher 40 series cards. Also, the kitted no-name PSU also has no on-off switch, which makes quick troubleshooting or power disconnect more of a nuisance. What makes customization easier is the wire clips located in the back of the Omen 40L. These easy click latches make it so you don't have to worry about zip tying everything over as you swap parts. An all-in-one included system for organization that you don't often see, so kudos to Omen here. It isn't so much of a downside for me, but the Omen 40L has an RGB fan cooler and not an RGB AIO, so there is less of a modern look people search for. Personally, I could care less and prefer the simplicity of the fan in most cases, and the RGB on the fan is decently bright. The Omen 40L hosts dual intake fans in the front, and exhaust in the rear, and natural vents at the top, at least until you add 2 more exhaust fans, as we spoke about. More about the exterior of the Omen 40L, the latch system to open the side panels works great and seems very robust for a button-based system. Not to mention, clicking the doors back in is also satisfying to close due to an audible click and haptic feedback. No tools are needed with Omen products, which seems to be an ongoing trend I can get behind. Lastly, regarding the Omen 40L's appearance, the RGB is stellar. The Omen logo glows brightly and sharply through the cuts in the front plexiglass, which is full of color. Usually, I am not all for large in-your-face branding on products, but the diamond is simple enough and designed well with the RGB that it is really no bother and adds to the overall look. Looking inside the machine and upon turning it on, the subtle glow of the RGB light strip on the internal parts has a very cold and mean look, but in a good way. It seems as though Omen put a lot of thought into the design of the Omen 40L because the way the internal RGB lighting casts shadows around the electronics has a distinct tone. It's hard to explain, but you'll see why I enjoy the internal lights so much when you see them in person. The RGB recessed fan placement in the front of the Omen 40L is also no mistake. Omen crafted round edges around the fans to give them more of a fitted look that matches the case. Little design choices like this make the product stand out from the oversaturated market of plastic-based pre-builds. It always seems like Omen puts a little extra love and care into manufacturing. Although we will discuss particulars about the Omen 40L's frame rates and GPU performance in games, let's just discuss some basic performance topics. The Omen 40L handles general computing like a breeze, with plenty of room for RAM to be eaten away by Google Chrome. Every click is butter right out of the box, from internet menus to Windows heads-up display. The desktop is very fast. The Omen 40L is especially very swift when downloading. Granted, you also have a high download speed limit. I was surprised to see the Ryzen 7 do so well with downloading massive games for me to review, as large files can remain inconsistent, but not here. Be aware that although there is not much bloatware to be found here, I chose to uninstall the pre-installed McAfee virus protection, as these programs always drive me crazy. Less is more when it comes to PC performance, so get that extra content off of your drive. In my time spent gaming with the Omen 40L, I was generally pleased with what I experienced. Most large games such as Halo and Fortnite can be played with 4K settings with medium to high graphics presets at a frame rate around 80 frames per second. These stats are rather favorable for 4K, with the 8GB of VRAM included. Games are so taxing nowadays, and to see this PC be able to handle 4K games with the exception of lowering your graphics below Ultra is pleasing, to say the least. Granted, games like Forza cannot be played at 4K, or barely, as they tank the computer viciously regardless of what graphics presets are used. You are better off running this type of game at 1440p with your settings on high. Speaking of the good news, if you don't care about 4K performance, the Omen 40L excels in 1440p and below performance, maintaining average frames anywhere from 100 to 166 frames per second, depending on the game. And on high and ultra, I don't think the majority of pre-built owners are concerned about spending cash on high-end 4K monitors, as cheap 4K monitors tend to look terrible anyway. Hence, the ability to handle games at resolutions under 4K is all I need to hear to feel positive about the intended consumer of the Omen 40L.
Speaking generally, 4K games did occasionally stutter, but not enough for me to care about the increase of resolution. 1080p and 1440p games ran like butter with no visible frame loss or stutter that would make the ultra or high settings seem unstable. I did some tests on the Omen 40L and here are my results. All of these tests were done while the computer was on a gaming performance preset, but with the standard fan speeds. So one can enjoy a silent PC while gaming without the fear of overheating or instability. I often checked the PC case to see if it felt hot at any point during the review, and not once did I find the Omen 40L generating a lot of heat, if any. It was rather cool, to room temperature rather than warm or hot. Another way to test the Omen 40L's desktop performance was to use the open source render test tool, Cinebench, to gather comparison data across hardware on the market. The software tests multi-core and single-core render speeds by maxing out usage. My results with the Ryzen 7 7700 8-core are multi-core of 829 and single-core of 106. These scores are rather good for the hardware at hand, so nice to see the Omen 40L is living up to its spec sheet. The Omen 40L is generally really good on the creator and art side of the spectrum until you approach large files, abundant sprites on screen, dense photo galleries, and stuff like that. The effect of lacking RAM can be justified right here. I tested Adobe programs such as Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator, and even a variety of video edited resolutions on Premiere Pro. It's not impossible, but 4K editing is very annoying, tedious, and slow. When using proxies, everything seems fine, but be prepared to keep the proxies on the entire time. Once again, be aware of RAM whilst video editing. I'm used to dragging in 50 gigs or more of video like it's normal, but when doing so on the Omen 40L, it bogged the computer almost entirely. It's great for lower medium tier editing, but it is tough to work with 4K level production or very large effects heavy files. When it comes to customizing the Omen 40L, the Omen Gaming Hub desktop app can do it all in unison. Before I specify any details, there is also a built-in AMD Adrenalin software suite that can be used for performance tweaks such as Radeon anti-lag, image sharpening, enhanced sync, and more. I chose to mention those features because those were the ones I cared enough to enable. There are also menus to check your PC specs, set graphics profiles, and alter input audio noise and visual effects, although I couldn't get the visual effects to work because it most likely requires a webcam. I also couldn't get the recording of the metrics to work either, but regardless, I'd rather use an aftermarket analysis software anyway. Weirdly enough, you have the option for hotkeys for most of these features, which is not the norm, so choose AMD if this intrigues you. On top of all that frustration, I genuinely like the Omen Gaming Hub more. It's a cleaner, more user-friendly way of controlling and customizing your PC. You can change RGB presets with an assortment of light effects to choose from, visualize on screen, and speed up or slow down internal fans. It basically does everything AMD Radeon software does, with seemingly more features, and it actually works with a better overall aesthetic. Just like all of the PC customization menus, there are always settings I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, but in theory, they all serve some purpose in a certain setting. Keep in mind that changing the fan speed setting does awaken this almost noiseless machine into a noisy desktop, but I suppose that fits our YouTube channel pretty well. Switch the settings back to default if you want the peace and quiet the Omen 40L gaming desktop provides. The Omen 40L gaming desktop brings eye-opening statements to the computer building industry. With an affordable rate for most practical situations in this demographic, the PC simply is cool to look at without being too flashy and simply provides manageable performance. It does kinda slack in 4K, maxing out large games, or even handling Forza without major diminishment, but I do see the light in this product, and it will come in handy for a lot of buyers, especially first-time buyers. Noisy Pixel is giving the Omen 40L gaming desktop an A. Thank you for watching. Noisy Pixel is a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all of our future content. See ya, nerds.
Noisy Pixel.